Hey guys, I do have an actual introduction at the beginning of the podcast, but this is kind of different. Normally, I just ask people that I've always had an interest in whoever's content it is, and I have a lot of questions that I'd be really excited to ask. However, this time, it almost connected with llamatodd working on fundraising for cancer through his helping with raids, and so this was kind of perfect. And so if you have the time and you have a couple of bucks to spare, make sure to check the links in the description. One of them is the Tiltify link so that you can donate to help this out. And tonight, when you're watching this video, I suppose, if you see it before, I believe, 10 p.m. EST, you can check out his channel on Twitch, and he is raiding for a charity and will be for, I believe, until Monday. So make sure that you check all of that out. Todd's a great guy, and hopefully you enjoy the video as well. Thanks, guys, and I'll see you at the next one. Hey guys, I'm finally getting the chance to sit down with llamatodd, and I'm super excited because when I started playing Final Fantasy XIV, I actually got one of my first really tough Savage clears with Todd, and I think it was, 10 hours of prog, 9 hours of prog, something like that? So I'm very excited. So if you just want to tell everyone where they can find you and what you stream, when you stream, and if there's anything cool that you're working on.
Sure. It's just twitch.tv/llamatodd, and normally it's I'm on it in the evenings, pretty late, so it's Degen Gang. I'm like the overnight streamer.
Mm-hmm.
And currently I'm working on a charity event for Stand Up to Cancer, where it's also with Phase Temperance, which is another community within the Final Fantasy umbrella.
Mm-hmm.
And they've said that, well, if you go into PartyFinder and help people with first-time clears, then they'll make a donation to charity, to Stand Up to Cancer. So I've been a part of that, and we've also raised our own money with our own Tiltify campaign. It's like double-edged sword there. We're hitting it from both sides,
right?
And raising money and getting people clears. That's kind of awesome.
That is awesome. And I've always wondered, because I never got what it was. What is it about llamas? Where did that all start? How did you get your name?
Wow. I get that question from time to time. It's like, why llamas? And it's going to date me a little bit because it's a Quake 1 term. I don't know if you know that, but being called a llama in Quake back in like the 90s, early 90s, when this game came out. I don't know if you guys know it, but that just meant you're a new player or a bad player, or it wasn't the best term, but it was just the thing to call someone. It's like, oh, look at this llama. So that kind of stuck, and like that was like one of the games, the first games that I played online with friends back when I had dial-up internet. So.
How does that even work? Like, I know that Quake is like, I've seen competitions for it. Like, they still do it on like GDQ and stuff for competitions for Quake. So how did that work on dial-up?
Man, well, there's different terms, and there's some old gamer terms, but HPB and LPB. I don't know if you know what those are at all.
I don't.
It's basically HPB was a high ping bastard. LPB. Oh, can I say that? Is it okay?
You can. It was just that was not what I was expecting. Of course.
High ping bastard, low ping bastard, because eventually, people started getting like the Ethernet connections and stuff.
Right.
I didn't have that until I went to college, so I was like, wow, actual fast speed. This is crazy. So, but no, we played Quake on dial-up, and we actually used my buddy's shared account because at the time. AOL, everyone had AOL, and you couldn't play online games while running AOL. So we used my buddy's like Errol's connection, or it's like some local thing. But llama, that was like just part of the vocabulary of Quake, and we would just always call each other llamas, and it just kind of stuck. And over the years, people just associated me with llamas. They didn't really know about the whole game thing, or like family and stuff. So they would just give me like llama plushies, or like, oh, I saw this llama, I thought of you. I'm like, yeah. I'm like, cool.
That's awesome. That's not what it means, but I'm
I definitely have become attached to llamas, and I love the animal. They're beautiful.
Right.
So when it came time to like, all right, if I want to do content on Twitch, like what name should I pick? And I was like, well, llamatodd. It's like at the time I wasn't very good at the game, and I was like, well, kind of a llama right now. And then it turned into, well, let's help all the other players that are new too. So let's help new llamas coming in. That's kind of where it's at.
And so when did you start streaming on Twitch? And was it Twitch first? Because I did see that you'd done a few things on YouTube, but was it Twitch first? And when did you start?
Yeah, poor YouTube content, man. That's on like a checklist down the road. I wish I had more YouTube content, but yeah, Twitch, it was kind of like a hobby thing maybe 2-ish years ago. Just like every now and then I would just stream raids with like some of my older statics, and I think I started taking raiding a bit more seriously during the AlphaScape tier, so like Final Omega, like 09S through 12, and that's when I really cranked it up a notch and just like started helping people, and would just host those kind of runs. They're just in PartyFinder, to find people, or I just ask around like, hey, who needs help? I can teach you this fight. And I continued that into the next expansion and next tier, and I think it really picked up in terms of Twitch. Because, unfortunately, there's just a couple things happened, but like, unfortunately, about a year and a half ago, I lost my job, and it was right before COVID, so it was like 2019's October,
right?
And I was like, oh crap, well, this sucks. And then COVID hit, like basically locked down the country just months after that, so it was really tough trying to like even get out there, find a job, and the only thing I had at the time was Twitch. And I was like, well, I was still kind of struggling. I wasn't like full time. I was still, I guess, a smaller streamer. But within a couple of months, that just like kind of skyrocketed. And I was able to at least like start paying the bills. I'm like, so I had this decision to make. I'm like, should I try keep pursuing this career path, or should I try content creation? So, well, I'm still trying the whole Twitch thing, and it seems to be going well. And we are growing, and I've been able to do a lot of cool things, like the charity events.
Right.
So we'll see. I'm just gonna keep
going.
Incredible.
Yeah. I wasn't expecting that answer. I guess I'm over here like, oh yeah, I'm really excited to know. Oh, okay. Because it just hits you hard, because like everyone is going through it, and it's not the first time I've heard it, but it's really nice when you actually talk to people, and they're obviously, it's still sad, and obviously it's still unfortunate, but it's like people that can actually make something of it and do what you're doing is really cool. Like the fact that you're actually able to take care of things is great. And I'm over here like, oh, okay.
It's hard. It's scary. And not everyone agrees with like my decision. So it can be tough. Like family support. Sometimes they just kind of give you the side eye. Like, oh, well, is that really what you should be doing? Like, because they don't quite understand.
Right.
But you can make a living on Twitch, but yes, it's not for everyone, and it is hard. You'll probably do the most work you've ever done.
It's a lot more difficult than
a lot of things to juggle.
Yeah, absolutely. And with you going through and starting to help people and doing all of those raids, and like being in, because I'm assuming, because you said that you did a lot of PartyFinder stuff and you wanted to help a bunch of people.
Oh yeah.
So I saw you doing a lot of stuff with Xeno. Do you have like a full static that you do like the most challenging content with first before you decide to teach people the fights, or do you just kind of you do the Party Finder thing and do your prog that way and find the best strats?
So yeah, Xeno. That's probably over a year ago, where I actually did have a static with him, and that was for my first ultimate. We did the Epic of Alexander together, and that was an awesome experience. And I think in part that helped me get a bit more visibility as a raider and Twitch streamer. Just raiding with Xeno and clearing my first ultimate, and because that was a big turning point.
Mm-hmm.
And so I don't have any like statics with Xeno, but every now and then I'll definitely run some raids with him.
Mm-hmm.
I do have a different static now, kind of left over from the last tier, and there's still part of them are still in my ultimate group. So we are reclearing. We recleared. We're trying to reclear T for a few others, and we did UCOB and Uwu together. So I got my triple legend title. Well, it's not a title, but it's just status. Your status. So I got all the ultimates cleared, and we're working on getting that T clear for the rest of the gang. And yeah, outside of that, it's just helping people in Party Finder. So while the tier, like we were active in the tier, we would get our clears done for the week, and then we'd help with like page runs or helping parties after.
Right.
So that's been the formula. So I'm actually really excited for the tier to be unlocked. I'm anticipating it's going to happen in a couple of weeks, so people can just kind of farm their gear, and I won't have to worry about the loot restriction.
Right. And so speaking of the tier, what did you think of this tier compared to other tiers? And then did you have like a favorite fight or a type of mechanic that really stood out to you, even if it was like the toughest or the coolest or had the best strat, something like that?
Oh, sure. Well, first off, I think 9 was very challenging for the first floor. I think when I'm teaching people that, we spend a lot of time compared to previous tiers. So I remember coaching like E5S, like Ramu, and getting people through there a bit faster. It's really just the tiles and people getting lost during brambles. There's like a lot of things going on. And
right.
People get turned around very easily. And plus the way the mechanics work, if one person dies, the next mechanic requires like either a stack or something. The damage has to go somewhere. So if someone's dead, then
right.
it's a really bad chain reaction of death or death. You get the tiles and you have like 3 people, and then you're like, oh boy. Like
I feel like that was the worst with strats too, because there were so many people that could only do a specific strat.
Right.
And then, so there were like half the people that could only do a specific strat and be in a specific position. And then there was like another half of people that was all about like melee uptime. And then there started to be strats that were like, better for both positioning and melee uptime, but also made it easier for people that understand it. But it was just really funny, like day one, having people be like, well, this is the way I saw it for, the not necessarily world first clears, but for people to clear it. This is the guy. And it was just, it felt like, like Ramu as well with the spears, like you said. So it's just funny that.
Oh, yeah, I could talk about that stuff too. But people, in Party Finder in general, they glom onto week 1 strats. Mm-hmm. And that's all they want. That's all they want to do. That's all they know. And fortunately, some people, they learn a strat and not the mechanic. They don't understand exactly what's going on. They just know I have to stand at this marker at this time, or I have to stand here at this time. They don't get why.
Right.
So, like when I do my teaching groups, it's like I do Ridden Brambles, which I think's better, or for me at least, because you get more uptime for casters and healers, and melee. They get all their uptime too, so it's like win-win for everyone. Right. Plus, if you understand what's happening, and I try to like make that a point, like, okay, well, you're standing next to this spot, you're putting your bramble down, and you're standing here because it baits to the closest person. Like I try to teach why. Right. And they're gonna break a lot easier if you do this way. So if you can do this strat, then you'll have no issue doing the other.
Right. I think mine was happy strat, but I will admit it was because it was a week 1 strat. So I did happy strat, and
and it's
and I wouldn't do the other strats. So I'm right there. I know that.
Were you still on primal though? I think you had to do myth. Well,
yeah. So I did myth a little bit on primal. And I learned it. Like, obviously I was willing to learn it because I knew it was the reason that we were doing myth was because of our comp at the time. So it was like people were more comfortable with happy, but we were doing myth because of, I don't even remember what it was. I think it was because we only had like 1 melee, and it just like made it easier for like positioning afterwards, because for some reason the team was really bad at getting to their specific sides for like wide angle and everything. I don't exactly remember, but I think that's what it was. And so yeah, and I actually didn't end up getting further than E10, but yeah. So and comparatively, so you've obviously cleared 12. What did you think about 12 compared to 8?
Well, I mean, I think just the fact you have a door boss, I think it made it a bit easier than 8, because that the light rampant from 8, that just absolutely destroyed PartyFinder. and then as soon as you wipe, it's like that again, and it's 2 minutes into the fight, and you're just like, oh god, wow. Like, you gotta do that. You gotta resolve that mechanic. It's gotta be clean. So, and the damage. Well, at the time, the damage check was kind of tough.
Right. I remember a lot of people saying it was really it was more intense than
8 was very hard, and then like the knockback mirrors that would catch people off guard, and then the I guess the last couple of mechanics, people like, or they would just eat themselves, like the icy floor with the last set of mirrors. You just accidentally tap something and you're like, but 12 definitely has its own big challenges. Very healer intensive too. So it's like first couple of mechanics, like the major ones, like icicles, Titan, really tough on heals. And if people, especially like some fizz range, they don't come in for heals. Sometimes they just think, oh, well, I'm in my spot, I'm safe, I don't need to come in. And then it's like, well, you're about to dunked on. Like,
yep, plays Bard, yeah.
Yeah, and I actually was in there on Bard, and I went through that Shiva mechanic, and I was like, oh, wait a minute, my tether's already stretched out. Like, okay, we're good. Like, oh wait, no, I'm gonna take some damage here. I gotta run in. So I get why.
Yeah,
people
being able
have
to
remember,
actually adjust is good.
Yeah,
have the mentality to know that you need to adjust.
Yeah, and I think people just get comfortable and be like, wait, I'm safe already. I don't come in fields or mitigation at all. It's like, you kind of do. So, and that happens throughout the fight. Yeah, and Titan, it's tough. Just a lot of damage, and then there's Lion. So it's like and I think Lions isn't as hard as Light Ramp. I mean, it's still up there. It's a challenge, but there's like at least 3 different strats that I know how to do.
Yeah, I've seen people doing it. No idea what's going on, but I've had people explain it to me in Discord. They're like, "Oh yeah, this is how this strat works." I'm like, "Okay."
Yeah, it's like basically 6 lions have to be baited. So 4 with tethers, and then 2 with puddles. All of them have own AoEs, just blasting someone. So except it's a dance.
And so
if someone forgets.
I actually wanted to ask you, so just to swap a little bit from Savage into the ultimate mindset, and I know this is kind of taboo and risque to talk about, but what do you think about not having the second ultimate for Shadowbringers, and how do you feel about the way ultimate is going to be presented in Endwalker? Are you excited about Nidhogg? It's Nidhogg Thornton, right?
Yeah, that'll be the theme. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I was upset, but I think more or less understanding after hearing like how hard the developers were working,
Right.
and even more so recent events after FanFest. You can hear like with Soken,
Yeah.
like how he was going through and just exactly how much like they put into this game. So it's like oh yeah, like please just take your time, man. Take a break. Please.
Why were you working while you were going through chemo? Like,
I know, oh my god. But even before I knew any of that stuff, I was like, well, we're planning on making a group, and it just kind of fell through like after we had that announcement. And I was just like, well, it sucks. I was disappointed, but I understood. And me crying about it and raging about it wasn't going to do anything happen any faster. So I was just like, well, I know we're probably going to lose a lot of raiders. They're going to unsub for a while, and that's fine. You know, Yoshi P even says like if you don't enjoy the game or if you don't want to get burned out, just do other things, then come back.
right.
And there's kind of center. But not me. I just try to make the most of it because I know that there's going to be new players, new raiders every day, trying to get something done. I really liked seeing how much the game has grown, and it seems like we're getting new people like by the droves. A lot of them from WoW too, but a lot of them just like interested in the game. So the game is growing.
Absolutely.
And I am excited for the next. That's going to be awesome. Really like Thornton fight, the music, the theme. I think it's going to be cool. I can't wait to see what happens. It's going to be maybe it'll be Knights of the Round. So like what 12 phases or something, one for each night. I don't know. I have no idea. It could be something.
Where they actually have like mechanics and do damage to you instead of just kind of like sitting there.
Right.
If you get in a roulette.
They could expand on that. And there's just so many things that you just try to think of like you. But yeah, I remember Thornton Extreme being a tough fight.
Right.
And even Nidhogg, that was tough too for some people. But I'm excited. I'm very excited. And the music too.
Right. And speaking of actually like losing people and having new people come in all the time, and with Yoshi P saying, you know, taking a break is good.
Yeah.
Have you ever had any times where you felt like you needed to take a break and played something else? Or if you don't, how do you prevent burnout?
Excuse me. Basically, I think after that announcement for like Ultimate, there was like a window there where I was playing a bit more variety. I dabbled in some Minecraft on my friend's server, and we streamed that a bit. It was just comfy Minecraft streams. And we also went into like Valheim a bit.
Oh, nice.
We played that. That was a fun game. And I don't know anyone who hasn't played Among Us. So we definitely had Among Us nights to kind of like keep our sanity in check. But I haven't done too much variety lately, though. I am planning on doing some like retro games. I recently had my 1 year Twitch partner anniversary, which is awesome. And one of the goals from that night was, all right, I'll do a Chrono Trigger playthrough. One of my favorites.
Oh, it's such a good game.
It is. It's one of my favorites. So like I do that anyway. Now I have a valid excuse. I'm like, well, we're gonna play some Chrono, and I also have another goal. It was like a retro Final Fantasy, so one of the older Final Fantasy play.
Oh, nice.
A playthrough, and preferably one I haven't like completed, because there were some I've missed. So I was like, we'll let the community vote on. I'm thinking that they're probably going to try to pick 4 because it's like Endwalker related, and I'm fine.
Exactly. So what ones have you played? What ones have you missed, I guess?
Well,
either or.
Gosh, I've definitely missed a full playthrough of 4. Like I started it and stopped. I did not play 3 because I think it wasn't even available in the States. I played 1 and 2, have not played 3. Haven't completed 4, not get to play 5, regional. 6 was awesome. I love 6. That's one of my top tier. That's one.
Yep.
Played the hell out of 7. That was the reason why I bought PlayStation. was like, I'm getting Final Fantasy 7 because
Me too.
I love 6, and I played it for a couple of hours. And I didn't realize you needed a memory card, so
Oh no.
I was like, what? I had to go through like the first couple of hours of gameplay again. And I was like, Mom, can you go back to the store? I need a memory card. I don't know. I can't save it.
They were expensive back
They
then
were.
too. Oh, it was.
I had like some of those like off-brand memory cards that like had more space or something, more memory on it. Or, God, weird time.
Fantastic.
But I played 8. I missed 9. Sadly, that was like when I went. And 9's a good one. 9 is a good one, so that could get some votes. I know all about it. I know the music and the characters really well. But 9's one I missed because it was like right at that time I was in college, and I switched over to playing a lot of PC games. I was like, I kept doing Quake. I did like in StarCraft. I played a lot of StarCraft, so it was different. Oh, Half-Life. Half-Life came out. Counter.
That's good.
The original.
I think I have that on the orange box, or I have both orange boxes for Half-Life and Half-Life 2.
Oh, nice. Man, D-Dust. Counter. I played through 10. I played through 10 a lot. I had a lot of those hours I sunk into Blitzball.
Oh, yeah.
So much
What do you think about Blitzball for 14?
I would play that. I'd be a Blitzball pro, I think.
I was kind of hanging on their every last word for the announcement showcase where they were like, we're having another, like group type game, but it's probably going to be added to the gold saucer. And I'm over here going, please be Blitzball. Please be
Blitzball. And what could it be? Yeah.
And speaking of which, what are you most excited about for Endwalker?
Well, I certainly like the story. I mean, all of it, yeah. Shadowbringers was amazing. Before that, I think Heavensward was my favorite expansion in terms of story, but Shadowbringers was amazing. So if they keep that quality up, I can't wait to see like what happens next and how do they present this next arc. And how they wrap up, I guess, Heidel and Zodiark, like what's going to happen there. Because we know that that's coming to an end. I'm like, oh, okay. And then how do they segue into us going Moon? And there's just so many questions. So I'm anxious for that.
What's going to be the next story arc if they're wrapping up Heidel and Zodiark, Ascians,
and who are the raid bosses? Are we going to get like a raid tier based off the 4 fiends, from 4 or something? What are we going to get?
That would be cool.
I'm very excited to see what's.
Do you have a plan yet for how you're going to approach it? Do you know if you're going to level the new jobs first, or if you're going to stick with something like that, like Ninja, and go into unlocking rating and everything?
I'll definitely have Ninja. I'm currently on a group that is planning for a week 1 clear. So, as long as I stick with that, then I have already kind of been assigned the melee role. So, I mean, if I wanted to, I could probably try Reaper, which looks amazing. Looks really cool. And I called that too. I was like, we're getting a Scythe melee. I mean, I think we all kind of knew because, he had like the Scythe, he had like art on his shirt. Yeah. So, when he came out there, okay, people were speculating like hammers and stuff. I'm like, Scythe.
Right.
I was a bit more specific. I was like a lightsaber Scythe. And I'm still holding out for that because we are going to the moon, and who knows what kind of weapons we're going to get. I think they're going to be more sci-fi-ish. So, lightsaber Scythe, cool.
I mean, yeah, that could be the new thing. Instead of Magitech, you get a little bit more sci-fi. We can use some.
We could, right? I'm going to say, I told you so. Look, we got it. But yeah, I think I'll be planning on Ninja, and then. When I help out with PartyFinder, I still like to have an omni role capabilities. So I've been re-clearing on warrior, tank. Been doing a lot of Astro, and then I guess Red Mage and soon to be Summoner is going to be my caster. My community voted that I play Summoner next, so I'm terrible. I'm also trying Black Mage, and I'm equally terrible. And then I have my bard on Fizz range, which is something that my original job that I had for raiding back
really?
in was
That's cool.
bard and warrior back in Coils level 50.
Nice.
Mm-hmm.
And so, have you actually played any other MMOs? Or was
Oh,
it
yeah.
just Final Fantasy XIV?
No, I played FF11 for many years, and I actually went from 11 to WoW. I picked that up during I had the trial like for vanilla, and then right at the launch of Burning Crusade is when my friends from 11 decided, hey, let's go raid WoW. This expansion's coming out. It's really cool. They tried to like hype me up about it. They're like, "Oh," because I guess they had played vanilla. They were like all like, engrossed. Some people at the time were just like, that was like almost pretty peak WoW. I mean, I think peak WoW was like Burning Crusade and Wrath.
Yeah.
But,
I feel the same way, just because of this story.
Yeah, and that's when I played heavily, and I got into a high-end guild at the time, and I think later into Burning Crusade. So I was like, for a while, I was like one of the top shadow priests on my server, with an alliance guild there.
Nice.
Where we raided. Oh. I had a horde character, and I would raid on that too, but I did have alliance Draenei. So
how do you compare the raid scene between all three? Like, did you raid in 11 as well?
Yeah, raiding in 11 was nothing like modern raiding. It's a lot of just waiting around, farming, a lot of grinding, and it was all very few instances. They had these special dungeons called like, is it BCNM? It's like Burning Circle Notorious Monsters, where you had to earn a key item and you traded it to this spot, and that would unlock a type of dungeon or raid boss, and you had a chance of loot. 11 was so bad, like for loot. Like you could just go in there and like farm all these items and spend weeks like trying to get this one key item. Because sometimes it was a combination. To get this one key item, you had to get like 8 other key items, and then like grind your way up to get this one boss, and then a wind crystal would drop and nothing else, and you're like, well. You just get blanked.
Like the way to get there is cool, like an actual unlock, or like actually, finding something, like how in WoW you used to have to attune back in the day.
Attunements.
So it was like you had to find the dungeon, then there was a quest to attune, then you had to come back.
I remember. I had to attune for Black Temple and everything. Yeah.
Oh, nice.
I remember that. Yeah. But 11, it was either key items, farming for key items, or camping in the open world. So imagine, if you've played 14, imagine doing a hunt train, and there's like an S tier enemy out in the world. Now imagine that enemy only spawns like once every week or once every 2 weeks, and it had your best in slot. And not only that, the first group that tagged it was locked. The loot possibility was locked to them. No one else. So you couldn't get 100 people from the server fighting this enemy. You couldn't even attack it. You couldn't even engage it. So you had to be there with your alliance, which was, I think it was 18. It was locked to 18 people in 11. So you had to have your full alliance camping, and someone had to claim it, and then anyone who didn't claim it would just sit there and wait and hope that alliance would die. And they would try to actively grief and kill those people if they could. There was ways to do that.
Really? Like how? Wait, like how do you do that?
Certain enemies, if you generated enough aggro, like outside aggro, and there were some abilities that would cause like you to like spike your aggro. You could actually turn the boss, and if it was like a dragon or a worm, like Nidhogg, for example, if you turned it sharply, it would cause it to do this ability called Spike Flail, which was like a huge like room-wide cleave when it turned. So you would try to cause it to spike flail that alliance by an aggro bomb. And what you do is, as an outsider, you would try to heal that your opposition's tank. And as soon as you're on the threat list, then you try to like generate aggro. It was messed up. It was
It's so
PvP
bad, but
creative.
like, at the same time,
Yeah.
like
It's competitive.
That's creative.
It was very competitive, and you had to like. I think there were some settings where you could block abilities from people that weren't in your alliance. So you wouldn't accept heals from other people. Get away from me! Don't heal me! I don't need you.
Which is like PvP in and of itself.
And it was it was for that. It was that reason. Yeah, people were messed up. Well, think about it. It would take you potentially, a year or more to get one drop. I mean, you'd have to farm. You'd have to tag this enemy once a week, once every 2 weeks or something, and hope for your drop out of like 18 people. And that's just your alliance.
Right.
Not counting everyone else on the server, all trying to get this one enemy. So it's like... But it was tough. It was a lot harder. So when I go into modern raiding and it's just like, oh, guaranteed loot? Oh, okay, whatever. Oh, I get my drop this week? Well, I'll probably get something next week. All right, cool. I'm fine. I'm not waiting months for a best in slot piece. Like I'm going to get something either this week or next.
It's different after you've already been through all of that.
Exactly. I'm like a grizzled 11 vet. I'm like, you don't know. I'm like in my rocking chair, like whittling something. You don't know what it was like.
And so, what did you think about raiding in World of Warcraft?
Man, that was so much fun. Because I took a bunch of my friends, and my first experience was Karazhan, and Mag and Gruul. So like all the T4 experience. And man, we loved that. That was really something else. And it really really got good during T5 and T6 because, well, some of my friends kind of dropped out and they scaled back how much they were rating. Mm-hmm. And that's when I guess trialed for one of the better guilds. I was like, dude, I want to do Hydra. I want to do is it SSC? Yeah, Vash. And my goal was to do Black Temple, eventually Sunwell, which was probably my favorite.
Right.
So Sunwell rating was awesome. We were at Muru. We downed Muru. And that one was a guild killer, I think, for a lot of people. Mm-hmm. I don't know if you raided during, but
I didn't raid back then, but I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, Sunwell, the Muru fight, that was
there were a
really
lot of
difficult.
people that just didn't even do Sunwell because they heard about how bad it was, and just like the mobs alone and the pats were so huge, especially like
the trash
to go out into the gardens, or like was it the terrace? I think it was the terrace.
Yeah,
that was really bad, and people were just like, no, that's.
It was tough, but yeah, it's different. It's a lot different than 14 rating for sure. And people will ask me like how to compare like the raids and stuff. I'm like, man, I haven't done anything recent in a while. I couldn't tell you. Like, I know that some people have, or they've played both. They've done Mythic. Mm-hmm. We didn't have Mythic. We just had, it was just the raid. And it was either 25 or 10 man.
Yeah. I know that PartyFinder for 14 obviously is huge, especially for pugs, and that's the way a lot of people progress. But are there really trials in 14, like for statics? Like you were mentioning trials in WoW, and I remember actually having to apply, submit screenshots so they could see what ads you had and things like that. But I feel like I never saw it for 14. Like, is it?
Oh yeah, it's there. Absolutely, yeah. If you're trying to get on a especially World Prog team, they'll check your logs and you'll want to raid with them for a couple of nights. They kind of get the feel for you, and you might get tossed into an older raid or something that you don't know that well, and then they just kind of will see how you pick up the mechanic, how you vibe with the team.
That's cool.
Yeah,
I just feel like I never really saw it. Like there were people that would kind of or at least part of the groups that I'd been in, it was like you would look at some people and fill and be like, okay, if you can meet these raid times, like join our Discord. But I feel like I haven't seen a lot of actual trial scenarios. So it's actually cool that that's a thing, and I just didn't know.
Yeah, I think not too many people stream being trialed.
That's true.
I did. I did it, yeah, because just stuff. But yeah, that's usually done, very quick session. It's like, hey, join us for this, or join us for reclears, or join us for some other raid. We'll test you out and see if everyone likes you. Yeah.
And so after that, when did you start trying to take a leadership role? Was it with 14 and wanting to help people, or before then did you have your own group that you were a raid leader or co-leader, and it just kind of grew?
Yeah. Yeah, I think in 11 I was definitely it was just Link Shell. It didn't have free company. Link Shell was the guild title. So I was a co-leader and raid organizer, and we had, I don't know if you knew this, but I don't know if you had a DKP system. Remember that? That was about.
I remember it for a while.
DKP.
Yeah, DKP and RC Loot Council.
Yes, we had a council. We had DKP, and I kept attendance for who showed up to certain events. And nice. It's all right, well, you guys were here. Let me mark you down, and all right, you have X amount of points to roll on these items. Yeah, I did all that, and then while I was for a while part of the leadership in our first guild, because it was carried over from 11, so the people that were kind of leaders in that. And then I wasn't so much when I joined the high end, more established guild for raiding. I was just I just work here, so. But that was cool. They were, they still recognized me as a good raider person to talk to and stuff. But I was also fine with not having to be a part of okay, well, you guys handled the loot, and they did a loot council. They decided when they did it, I think they did an intelligence system. They didn't do the DKP thing. They just talked about it. Okay, these things dropped. It would be better for this person to have this piece because they're lacking and we need more DPS, and these other people they've got more drops. So it was pretty fair. Right. They just cash. I like those people. And I still every now and then I still talk to old guild. That's awesome. And they see me streaming, and they're like, dude, you got kind of big. I'm like,
yay!
come play 14.
Right?
Yeah, so, and some of them pop in from time to time. It's really cool to see that.
And 14. No, you're fine. Have you ever gone into a pug and you're just all right, I need this clear because I'm missing this piece of loot, and for some reason you just didn't do it with your static, they were taking time off or whatever when you had a static, or you weren't teaching anyone. Have you ever joined a pug that was already set up?
Oh yeah.
It had a certain strat, and then you're
yeah.
Okay, guys, let me help you out. Let me help.
Let me help out.
Have you ever joined and just ended up taking over?
Probably. I think since I had so many alts, because with the static, you think you don't want to just go in and into a PF. That's your lockout, because you just reschedule. If people can't make it on a normal day, Wednesday or whatever, it's all right, well, everyone's available on Saturday or so. You don't want to mess up loot. So that's why I had so many alts. I have something on Primal, I had something on Crystal, and so that is where I found the most PartyFinder experience. Because I didn't have statics. Oh, that'd be a nightmare, I think. Statics in each data set. And yeah, I have joined the which is kind of a meme, the 7 out of 8 static, looking for a replacement that week, and you get these homebrewed static strats, and it's well, this is how we do things. I'm you kind of have to go along with that, but if it's just a group of just pugs, straight up pugs, then yeah, I would try my best to steer the strats in a certain way. Hey, let's do it this way. Or if I notice people struggling, I would offer call outs. And that happened a lot. People would be like, oh yeah, I'll take call outs, sure.
It's so nice when people actually like take constructive criticism too.
Yeah.
Like, okay, you're standing here, but you like if you could just move here, like pop this, like it would. And it's nice when people are like, oh yeah, okay, instead of getting all upset.
Yeah, and that and to that point, it can be kind of risky just trying to tell people, especially people you don't know in PartyFinder, like, hey, like I noticed that you're not doing XYZ. Like, it's super like or offended by that, and they're just like, whoa, what do you mean? You don't pay my sub. You don't tell me how to play my. So I'm like, okay, I'll just back off. You do your thing, man, because I mean, even recently I noticed, like, since I play Ninja so much, I can anticipate when trick attack is, like, very tight windows every minute, like trick, and if I'm on another job, I'm waiting for that trick attack. If there's a ninja, I'm like, I'm gonna blow up this trick attack window. I'm saving resources.
Right.
Like I'm gonna use my infuriate if I'm on warrior, and I'm just gonna like go into it, and then it's just like it's not there. It's not. Where's trick? So I asked the guy, I was like, hey man, is there a reason why you're holding trick? And he's like, what? And I'm like, well, you need to have it every minute. Like I noticed that it was like 30 seconds after that, like a 90-second trick window. I'm like, and I normally don't say something, but I think with that, because it was Ninja, I was like biting my tongue. I was like, he's like, tighter windows. Just try to work on every minute as best you can. But normally I don't say anything unless it's like, well, unless I approach it differently. I'll say something like, would you like some advice, or would you like some help? Like, hey, I noticed something. Do you want to hear some advice? If they were receptive, then absolutely. I would be like, okay, well, here's how we can help. Here's what you're missing, and let's do it this way. Let's try it this way. Those are the players that I think are definitely going to improve and become better raiders. And absolutely. The ones that shut you down and still play poorly, well, that's a different brand of being toxic.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's a really good way of going about it too, just kind of testing the waters rather than just being like, hey, everything could be fixed if you did this. And it's like,
right. No one likes being told what to do.
Right. Absolutely. And out of all of these times that you've helped people, is there a clear that's really stood out to you? Like something that was really cool, either for yourself helping someone out, or just their reaction to it, or the best screenshot, or the toughest boss that took the longest time?
Yeah, I remember this one thing. It was I think it was an E4S, and there was this bard. And I think it took 9 or 10 hours, and I think by the end of it we're all in tears when we got the clear. That really stood out. I think it was.
Well, I meant other than that.
No, that one really
angry that day too.
That one really did stand out. I look back at that. I'm like, I can't. Like, you were a trooper for like sticking that out. Like, holy crap!
You were really sweet for teaching. Like, what was that? Half the group that was half the group new to the fight.
I think so.
And under beard too.
Yeah.
Because we all only had like one clear of E1 through E3. We just like didn't get any gear.
No, that one definitely stuck out. Just people's dedication that day. They're like, we are getting this clear.
Did you ever notice that it was after the timer? I didn't know that.
Oh, was it?
But if you actually if you go back and see the clip, it literally like the timer goes. And he's like finishing the rage cast.
Oh, the enrage! Oh, yeah, I did. Yeah, it went to black, and I think
it, and then we got it.
I've had clears like that where people actually took the enrage damage, like the
no way.
You see,
they actually took the damage and still got the kill.
Yeah, we've had half the group get killed by the enrage, and then the last hit, because it's based off proximity to the boss, like who takes that damage first.
I didn't know that.
Oh, we had some people that the server tick. It was just like, well, the tanks died and this healer died, but these ranged people did not. So like
that's so cool.
Yeah, and it's just like you see the screen start turning black, and you're like, oh my god, and then you see, everything, the battle log and all the loot drop. You're like, oh. So I've had plenty of moments like that, but yours definitely stuck out. And my first ultimates, that's a whole other feeling because the amount of work you put in, because it's like for me it was like a month of prog.
Right.
You think of a Savage fight where it's like, okay, we can work on it for maybe a week or two. Maybe a more casual group would spend even more on, but this was like 4 or 5 nights a week.
Right.
My first ultimate. So getting the first clear for T, amazing.
How long is the actual duration of the fight for T? Like, if you were just going in there with, do you get scaled down for T?
Well, yeah, you do. All of them are at a lower item level.
Yeah.
So T's the only level 80. The other 2 are 7.
Right. I just wasn't sure, like, just gear-wise, if it actually... But, like, on average, about how long is the fight? Because it's, like, ultimates are a gauntlet, right?
17 or 18 minutes. No checkpoints. And it's boss gauntlet. So you can imagine once you start getting the phase 4 or just the last phase or whatever it is in the fight.
Right.
That kind of prog where you're very consistent on the first 15 minutes of the fight. You're only getting maybe 3 or 4 pulls per hour for your prog night.
Yeah.
Pulls, just a single pull. And then you get to that point and you're like, oh, well, we wiped it 16 minutes in, back to the start. And you're just like,
oh. That's
when it starts getting really exhausting. You're like, oh my God. And then you start feeling really bad for wipes, but it's all part of it. Like it's going to happen. You are going to hit that 1% in rage too. And then it's going to be like, ugh. I've seen it.
I'd probably rage quit for that night. I'd be like, nope, I don't have another pull in me.
Had less than a percentage in rage on T, where we all got like the jails come down, and it's slow. The enrage for an ultimate's awesome. Yeah,
but I mean, already anxious about it.
It is.
I'm like, no.
Yeah, for T, it's like you see the cages come down, and it gets like the tanks first. Like you do it in order so that the tanks get locked first, and then the healers, and then it's like the DPS, and then it comes down to the very last DPS who hasn't been jailed, and you had to like any other DPS had to put out like just press all the buttons, just mash everything, like dots. Doesn't matter if it's your burst, like. Put something out there, refresh dots right before, and in some cases, many groups, they were all jailed, and you have like a few seconds, like after that fact, before it does the final judgment or whatever,
right?
Where the dots have ticked, and then they get the clear while everyone's jailed, and they're just like, like dots are gonna kill it, just wait. But.
And just the kill videos for those are so awesome too.
They are.
Everything that you go through, and it's just like everyone's like they're either like yelling, silent, then applause.
It was, and it was for me. I was definitely super hyped for T, and then the other ones, I guess, hit different too. UCOB was awesome. I think I was more relieved to be done with that. Same with Uwu, but nothing's gonna like be close to your first ultimate. And there was a time where I didn't think I was like, well, that's just for hardcore players. But it is a time commitment, so you do need to set aside at least bare minimum 2 nights a week for like 5-hour sessions. And that is a casual. So I'd 3 or more for an ultimate. And now's the time to do it. Before the expansion, perfect time. You could do Uwu, you can knock that out in probably a month and a half.
Go contact Todd. He'll get you in for at least a little bit of prog.
We actually got someone to clear, and it was during this last week for charity. So it was like, and it was $50 was donated.
That's awesome.
For that, yeah. And each person that submitted that was another 50 on top. I think it caps at like 200. So $200 for that one ultimate clear for Stand Up to Cancer. Cool. And
how long is that going on? Like, was it just last week, or are you continuing to do it for a little while?
It's until this Monday, but I think they were very close to reaching their donation cap. So it's kind of like a pledge system. So like if you get someone a first time clear, they pledge to donate.
Yeah. Sorry, my dog is just like
it's okay.
over my legs right
No, that's that's all right. That's all right. And I think through donations they had I want to say over. I have to check. I think they started at like 1,800, but now they're at like 15,000, and that's from people donating to them. Phase Temperance, saying, "Well, they had their own Tiltify link, and people were like, raise the cap so we can continue this event because so many people have joined." The previous one that I did with Phase Temperance, it was like I think maybe. Not as many. It was like maybe 10 of us or something. And it was me and Ori, Ori's a Mercury. Like we were like one of the leaders for the PartyFinder Heroes. We raised a lot of money, got a lot of clears. So this time around, like there's just an outpouring of people that just spamming PartyFinder and finding those clear for one groups or clear for two or whatever. And I like that. I'm not even on the leaderboard right now. I'm like, damn, like I'm working hard. These guys are.
No,
that's awesome. I love it. Yeah, I love seeing that.
It's such a good cause. And
it
it's
is
neat that it's just like doing this, like helping people out. That's so cool. But I've kept you for just about an hour of your time.
Yeah, it's okay.
And so if you want to let everyone know again where they can find you, and if you have anything else coming up that might be cool, and I don't want to keep you from your weekend. I think we're going to go out and grill too, so.
Yeah, okay. Well, you can find me again, twitch.tv/llamatodd, same handle on Twitter, just @llamatodd. And if you need to clear, if you need some help, if you want to become a better raider, you know where to find me. Just late nights, East Coast time, around 9 or 10 is usually when I start. And I think you know these people, but I'll be taking work to game. I'll be taking Chris first in-game experience.
Yeah.
So he's amped about that, and that'll be around 9 o'clock. So 4 hours. Well,
nice.
This is a video, so whatever. It's in the past.
I was planning on posting it like.
This is in the past.
So.
Oh, okay. All right.
It will still be in the future.
Yeah. Yeah. I've been trying to work.
I heard about that. That and I didn't even realize that he'd never really stepped into Savage before.
No.
And so I saw the video for him doing like min-eye level Garuda. And things like that, and how he was talking about that he wasn't expecting the difficulty that it actually was, because there was like a lot of prog, but he didn't get the kill. And I was like, oh, I didn't know that you'd never done Savage before. Like I knew that a lot of this stuff was farming, so that should be. So you said you're doing that tonight. Yes.
So I'll do whatever. If he wants to do Diamond and then E9S, like I'm down. And I try. Yeah, that's like part of my thing. It's like I try to make this type of content more approachable, like available to people, like that think that they can't do it. It's like no, man, we got you. Like, let's go. It's just gonna be a lot of fun, and then people get hooked. To like, oh crap, this is really cool. Let's do more. It's like, let's go.
And obviously, I think the thing that is kind of has never really been apparent to people is that there are all types of groups too. Like you don't always have to go into a group that's going to get the kill. Like if you're kind of worried about it and you're not sure if it's your thing, but you want to try, like there are learning groups,
right?
PF, like, but I've actually had that a lot in my chat previously too. Was people are like, oh, people have a lot of confidence doing this, and I'm like, when I started, I just followed people. So honestly, like. Sorry.
Yeah. People like get really afraid of wiping the raid. I guess I'm going from like normal content and difficulty, and then it's like Savage. Like, well, I don't want to kill everyone. I'm like, you're going to, and it's okay.
Some
like,
people
I still do it.
Like
I still do it. Yeah. Like, don't worry about it, man.
There are some really tight windows for things, and if you barely like miss a step,
you're not going to be very good. You're not going to be the top parser or whatever that is. I just use a spreadsheet, but it's like you're not going to perform well. But if you learn the fight, you're going to have fun.
Right.
Yeah.
300K, 200K.
Please, oh my god!
Wow.
Oh my god!
The fucking buzzer!
Oh my god!
Holy shit!
Oh my
Perfect.
God. Oh my god.